Hey, Andy Neary here. Before we dive into today's podcast episode, think back to how you came upon this podcast. Maybe it was through a post, a share, or one of your own peers shared this podcast with you. I don't take any ads. I don't take any sponsorships. The only way this podcast grows is through word of mouth. So if you would be so kind to share this with a peer, with a teammate, with a friend, a family member, I would be forever grateful to you. This is how we impact more business professionals, and this is how this podcast grows. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Hey, welcome back to Bullpen Sessions Podcast. My name is Andy Neary, and this is episode 272. In this week's episode, I'm going to share a sales secret that will help you create more consistent income growth. Too many insurance advisors today are struggling to fill their sales pipeline. And the more empty the pipeline gets, the more desperate the sales producer gets. And when they are in that desperate situation, this is when they start to press. This is when stress and anxiety take over. And all they're hoping to do is just have a sales conversation with anybody. And prospects can smell that desperation. And there is no way that sales producer is going to have any kind of success. So today, I'm going to share one tip that has changed our trajectory at Complete Game Consulting. It's a sales strategy that doesn't get talked about often enough, but I promise you it is one sales strategy that will always lead to more consistent income growth. We have seen it over the last 2 years here at Complete Game Consulting. We have sold more than $1.1 million in 2 years, and we're not even that rich in recurring revenue like the insurance producers are who are growing a book of business. And I don't share that to brag. I share to show what's possible. If you take what you learned today, this one strategy I'm going to share with you, and you apply it to your prospecting every single week, you will be blown away by the doors you open, by the type of prospect you attract, and what it will do for your sales conversations, your revenue, and ultimately your income. So let's dive into today's episode. Get a pen and piece of paper ready. You're going to love this, especially if you are looking to open more doors with good prospects. This is an episode you do not want to miss. All right, buckle up, because you know when clarity and confidence collide, you end up doing amazing things. Here we go. Welcome back, and thank you for tuning into episode 272. Today, I am going to be sharing one sales secret that will create more consistent income growth for you, and I'm excited to share that with you today. Today, we're going to dive into a sales strategy that has been extremely impactful in our business and has allowed us to grow pretty fast over the last 2 years. And when I look back at what has allowed us to have tremendous success from a growth perspective, I hands down believe it's this one sales strategy that we use today. And I promise you, this sales strategy is not one that you have been taught in the traditional sense of insurance sales training. So I'm excited to share it with you, because here's my guess today. I am guessing that if you're tuning in, you are looking to find tips, hacks, tactics to grow your book of business. If you're an insurance advisor who is kind enough to listen into these episodes every single week, number one, thank you. But number two, you do so because you're hoping what I share each week is going to give you the clarity, maybe the strategy you need to unlock everything. And I think this episode's going to be no different. This strategy has been so impactful. It's changed our trajectory of Complete Game Consulting. And this is why I wanted to spend some time in an entire episode talking about this, because it's something we don't talk about enough. And what gave me the idea for this episode is I spent last week at a 2-day workshop as a member of a mastermind I'm a part of called Brand Builders Group. And the 2-day workshop was intended to help me work on my business for 2 days. And oh, did I ever do that? So this clarity came out of those 2 days I spent in Nashville, Tennessee. And I am going to share this sales tip with you today, because right now, here is what I am guessing is happening in your life. You're searching for the perfect sales strategy right now to book more appointments, because you realize booking more appointments has got a bit challenging these days. And when you were first hired by your insurance agency or the insurance company you work for, you were given a nice paycheck, You were excited. You came in with a lot of positive energy because you saw the revenue and income capabilities that can be generated in this industry. I know that's exactly what I saw when I got in 23 years ago. But here's what typically happens, and I bet you this has happened to you. After the reality of the nice paycheck wears off, the excitement of working in an industry that has unlimited growth, if you do it the right way, you realize that you're kind of out on your own. You're out on an island to go figure it out yourself. I know when I was hired 20 some years ago, it came with a fairly nice paycheck given the amount of money back in the day. But I was also given the go get 'em kid training, which was me trying to figure out how to do it on my own. And of course, I had people to bounce questions off of, ideas off of. But at the end of the day, I was given no clear blueprint on how to go build my business. And so what I want to do with you today is teach you one tactic we use here that I believe has allowed us to grow consistently, predictably, and has allowed us to ensure our pipeline is constantly filled with good prospects. And that brings me back to where you're struggling today, which is you are not booking enough appointments. And what happens when you are staring at an empty sales pipeline is you start to get a little desperate. The stress, the frustration, the anxiety starts to set in. And you realize that you have got to start getting after it pretty quick if you want to have any kind of sales success. Maybe you know the end of your salary guarantee is approaching quickly, and you have to do something in order for you to remain where you are, in order for you to validate and continue making a nice income, and the pressure is on. And now you start pressing. Now you start leaning into what I call the win at all cost mentality. You ditch any plan, any sales plan you had, if you had one at all, because you are just hoping anybody will talk to you. You are just trying to open any door. You are so focused on revenue and your income that anytime you get an opportunity, it is a I must win opportunity. Every opportunity is massive for your success and for your belief that you can have success in this industry. And unfortunately, that often leads to no success at all, no sales. Why? Because you're desperate. You're willing to try to say anything to anyone to get a sale because you're focused on your goals, your income, your revenue, heck, your job status. And when this anxiety and stress start to increase because your sales are decreasing, there is no way you are going to have success living in that state of fear. And at the end of the day, what happens is I see too many good young insurance professionals come into this industry, super excited, super energetic. And just a few years later, they're feeling burnt out and dejected. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're thinking about talking to other agencies because you know it may be time to move on. And I don't want you to live in that state of fear. I lived in that state of fear and anxiety for far too long in my insurance career. Instead of reaching my full potential, all I ever did was reach the end of my salary guarantee. And I was that guy that would hop from one agency to another. And I called today the good old insurance producer transfer portal, right? And it wasn't until I got very clear about who I was going after, what I was saying to them, and where I was going to say it. By the way, if you want to listen to last week's episode 271, I talk about that. But it wasn't until I got clear on that game plan, on that marketing strategy, that I was starting to have consistent success. I was starting to open doors more consistently. And what I'm going to share with you today is one of those sales tactics I started leveraging to make sure I was seeing consistent growth in my pipeline, which led to consistent growth in my sales, which ultimately led to consistent growth in my income. I'm going to share that one tip that I believe will help ensure you are opening more doors consistently. Using this one strategy I'm going to share with you today, we have sold more than $1.1 million in sales over the past 2 years at Complete Game Consulting. Now, we are not a business that has as rich of a recurring revenue stream as building a book of insurance business does. And we have had the ability to sell over 7 figures in sales over the last 2 years using this one strategy as our North Star when it comes to sales. And that's why I'm excited to share it with you. If you deploy this one strategy, you'll not only have more sales success, here's what I'm going to promise you. You're going to start enjoying what you're doing again. You're going to have fun doing this thing again, because that's why you got in the industry in the first place, right? If you're purely here for nothing more than making good money and you actually hate what you do, let's start off by saying, I think it's time for you to find something else. Don't let your desire to just get rich determine what you do for a living. Why do something you don't enjoy doing if all you care about is making money? Because here's what's going to happen. You can make all the money in the world. You're still not going to enjoy what you're doing. And that's not worth it to me. I want you to have fun doing this. I want you to be excited about waking up every day and helping people solve their insurance problems. Now, let's dive in to this one strategy, this one sales tip. Heck, I might even call it a sales hack, even though I don't like using the word hack. And here it is. When you focus on impact, your income will always follow. Let me repeat that. When you focus on impact, your income will always follow. You see, where we get it confused in the insurance industry is we think once we have the income, we can make a bigger impact. Make the impact first, and the income will always follow. And I'm going to teach you a three-step process that ensures you can bring more impact to your prospects' business, to your prospects' lives, that will ensure you have a steadier flow of inbound leads, steadier flow of appointments, which ultimately creates a steadier flow of your income growth. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to start by sharing a story with you. So this really hit home for me a couple years ago. As I was in the middle of growing Complete Game Consulting in its early stages, years 1, years 2, there was a time when I wasn't quite sure that the message I was putting out to grow our business was being heard. You know, as I have worked hard to build a personal brand over the last 9 years and really create a marketing message that we can pump out to the masses, don't get me wrong, I've had my struggles, I've had my fears. There's been days where I didn't know if anybody was listening, anybody was watching. I didn't know if anybody even cared. Heck, there were days I was asking myself, why the hell am I doing this? Hi, it's Andy Neary, and thank you for listening to the Bullpen Sessions podcast. Did you know the ideas shared on this show are things we actually specialize in helping you implement? If you're an insurance professional and you want to turn your credibility into consistent client acquisition, visit CompleteGameConsulting.com and schedule a free strategy call. Again, that's CompleteGameConsulting.com to request your free strategy call. All right, let's jump back into today's podcast episode. And all these questions came to a head one day when I received a text message from a peer of mine in 2021. And he texted me because he wanted to jump on a Zoom chat. He wanted to connect with me because he wanted to thank me. And I wasn't quite sure why he wanted to thank me. So a couple days later, he and I jumped on a Zoom call, caught up. It had been a while. And he kicked off the conversation by saying, Andy, man, I just wanted to get on. I wanted to connect with you in person, which is how we did that in 2021, right? I wanted to connect with you in person just to say thank you. And I was sitting on the other side of the Zoom screen going, thank me. Like, I haven't done anything, man. I haven't seen you in 2 years. And then it was what he said next that really made me realize what impact is all about. He said, hey, man, I got to tell you, the past 2 years have been quite a struggle for me. He went through a really bad divorce prior to COVID. During COVID, he had a rough bout with the virus. He found himself hospitalized. It was touch and go for a while. So this guy really had a rough 24-month patch. And he said, man, I got to a point where I thought about ending it all. He said, I didn't know if it was worth going on. I felt hopeless. I was in a dark place. But I got to tell you, Andy, your content kept me going. It gave me hope. It gave me a path back to where I wanted to be. And I just wanted to jump on Zoom so I could thank you. Thank you for keeping me here. And when I heard that message, I was floored, because all this while, as I'm putting out a marketing message to my audience, I let it be all about me and myself and my ego. I didn't know if anybody was listening, anybody was watching, if anybody cared. I'd made it all about me. And I failed to realize that putting content out, marketing, sales is not about you at all. It's about creating an impact on the people you want to do business with. Because if you create impact, income will follow. And it was in that moment I realized that this is a mission I must fulfill, that I no longer am going to get caught up in the fears of judgment and comparison. I'm no longer going to make it all about me. Every piece of content I create has nothing to do with me, and it has everything to do with bringing more impact to my prospects. Because I know the greater impact I have on their business and their lives, the more my income will grow. It is that simple. So instead of focusing on your income first, focus on your impact first. Focus on the impact you are having on those people in your life. And I'm going to share 3 steps, 3 things you can start doing right now to ensure you book more appointments by creating a bigger impact on your prospect's business and on your prospect's lives. Step number 1, you have to start creating more awareness through prospect-focused content. Now, that content can come by way of social media, emails, webinars, podcasts, public speaking. I don't care what channel or channels you use, but you have got to start bringing more value to your prospects through education-based, education content, prospect-focused content. I can't say that the right way. You see, if you focus your effort on creating more awareness, what you are doing is having a bigger impact on the lives of your prospects. Sitting behind a phone and making one cold call after another, talking to people who have no clue who you are, does nothing to create an impact in their business. It does nothing. But creating content every single week that brings value, that uplifts your prospect's business, heck, it might uplift their life, is how you start bringing massive value to your prospects. Why? Because you're impacting them before they ever meet you. So the first step you've got to take if you want to have a bigger impact on your prospects so you can increase your income is you have to start bringing and creating more awareness through prospect-focused content. The second we took our content to the next level, our LinkedIn content, our email content, our YouTube content, public speaking, the podcast, the second we made it all about the prospect and how much value we were going to bring to the prospect, we instantly saw an uptick in inbound leads. We were opening more doors. We were opening more doors with the right prospects, which led to better sales conversations. But it all started with the level of awareness we were creating through prospect-focused educational content. Step number 2. As you create this prospect-focused educational content, you have to spend more time giving than you are asking. Think about it. The traditional way you and I have been taught in this industry to go attract prospects is through cold calling, cold emails. I was taught how to go door to door. How are you bringing and giving any value to the prospect through those forms of prospecting? Every one of those channels of prospecting is nothing but asking. All you're doing all day is asking for appointments, asking for business, ask. You eventually become an asshole. Prospects don't like that. They're annoyed by that. This is how you get prospects who never return your call or your email again. We have arrived at a day and age where prospects want more value from you than they ever have before they're ever going to consider hiring you. So as you create more prospect-focused content, this content has to be focused on giving them as much value as you can. One of the best pieces of advice I have ever been given by a mentor of mine, Rory Vaden, is save the best for first. You got to give the good stuff. Spend your time sharing as much good information as you can with your prospects before you ever open the door, because what you're going to do is you're going to open better and more doors, and you're going to walk in with people who already like you and trust you. Why? Because you're having an impact on their business and they've never met you yet. And step number 3, tell your prospects you can help them more often. Spend more time telling people that you can help them. Now, you might be sitting there listening to this going, Andy, really? That's step number 3? Yeah, it is. But here's why it's so hard for you to do it right now. You're too afraid to sound salesy. You're too afraid to come off as annoying. But if you believe that what you sell can actually change the trajectory of your prospect's business and the lives of the people who work there, you have an obligation to tell as many people as you possibly can. The word sales gets such a bad rap because when you hear the word sales, you think of used car salesmen or people who try to dupe and trick you into buying something from them for the sake of a quick win. Don't get caught up in thinking that way. Sales is an obligation if you truly believe in what you sell and you truly believe what you have to sell can change your prospect's business for the good, for the better. That is something I had to learn when I started Complete Game Consulting. I had built my own product. I believed in it. I built it. Then it was up to me to go tell as many people as I possibly can that I can help them. So step number 3 is just getting more deliberate about you telling people how you can help them. The truth is you're not telling enough people that because you're afraid of annoying them. You're afraid of coming off as too salesy. If you believe in what you sell and you believe you can help them win, why not tell them as often as you can? So those are my tips for you today. It starts by focusing on said that wrong, focusing on impact before you focus on income. Instead of focusing on income and trying to win at all costs so you can grow your income, I want you to start focusing on impact first, because it is a reality is that if you focus on impact, the sales will always follow. If you focus on impacting your prospect's business and your prospect's life as much as you can and as often as you can, you're going to open more doors consistently. Those are going to be better conversations because you will have prospects who trust you and you have credibility with them. And it's ultimately going to lead to more sales, which leads to you growing your income, which is your ultimate goal anyways. And the easiest way to do that is to start by focusing on creating as much awareness as you can with your prospects through prospect-focused educational content, and throw it out on as many channels as you possibly can. Email, social media, webinars, podcasts, public speaking. I don't care. You got to put it everywhere. Number 2, give before you ask. Challenge yourself to see how much you can give to a prospect before you ever ask for their business. The more you give, the more value you are going to bring to their life. And the more value you bring to their life, the easier it's going to be for them to say yes to you. And number 3, if you truly believe in what you sell and you truly believe you can help your prospects, you got to tell them that you can help them as often as you can. Don't be afraid to tell people you have something that they will find value. Don't be afraid to tell prospects you truly believe you can improve their current situation. It's not salesy. It's just you being confident about what you have to offer and being confident you can help the people you're trying to do business with. You see, if you continue to just focus on your income, you're going to continue to come off as pushy and desperate, and you're going to continue seeking all of these short-term hacks to get a quick win, and none of them work, at least not for the long run. And the only thing you're ever going to do for your prospects in that mode, in that mentality, is turn them off, turn them away. Focus on impact first. Then the income will follow. How do you do it? Prospect-focused content. Give before you ask. Save the best for first. And then tell your prospects you can help them as often as you can. If you do these three things, you will be blown away by how much impact you are creating for every one of your prospects. And as that impact grows, so too will your income. We have experienced it here at Complete Game Consulting. Our clients have experienced it, and I know it is the way to do business these days. And this is why I wanted to share it with you. So take what you learned today, apply it, focus on impact, don't focus on your income, and everything will change for you. Be good. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's podcast episode. Remember, if you found value in this episode, do me a favor, give it a like, share it, post about it, go subscribe to make sure you get every episode from us every single week. And my only ask from you is that if you have anybody in your life, whether it be a teammate, a peer, family member, or a friend, please share this podcast with them. That's how we grow. We only grow through word of mouth. And I would be forever grateful if you take the time to do that. All right, now it's time for you to take what you learned, and it's time for you to go out and share your message with the world. Execution, clarity, and consistency is everything. Be well.